On this episode of the Open in Indiana podcast, we speak to a business owner who's serving up gluten-free goods in Franklin, Indiana. Don't miss it. Welcome, everyone, to the Open in Indiana podcast, where we feature the people, places, and events that make Indiana a great place to live, work, and visit. Today, our guest is Elissa McKee, owner of 1823 Bakehouse. Elissa, how are you today?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for joining us today. Elissa, so I'm fascinated to hear that you run a strictly gluten-free restaurant in Franklin. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got started?
Yeah, so my husband and I are from Indiana and grew up in Franklin. And in the early 2000s, we moved to the West Coast and worked. I worked in television. He worked in IT, and we ended up in Canada and then back here on a visit. And we always talked about opening a small place, like a coffee shop or a little restaurant or something, and that was our retirement plan. And while we were here, a place went up for sale. We had just had our son, and it just seemed like the right time to just do something a little bit crazy. And so we bought it, and here we are.
And so, Elissa, we talked briefly before recording today's episode, and you mentioned that your business caters to a variety of dietary requirements, correct?
Yeah, so my husband found out he had celiacs in the mid 2000s, really before I had ever heard of the word gluten. And so it's been a journey, like going from, he was a vegetarian at the time. We ate a lot of pastas and breads and carbs, on his vegetarian diet. So to have celiacs was really a big change for us. And while we never really imagined opening a place that was gluten free, it just once we got into the restaurant business, we realized how much contamination is in the air, and so we knew that we had to have 100% gluten free. And then once we started meeting our customers, we realized that along with celiacs, which is an autoimmune disorder, many people also had other issues like allergies to dairy, first and foremost, but egg allergies, nut allergies, coconut allergies, soy allergies. So really to only focus on gluten free was to really ignore a bunch of people who really have a hard time, much harder than he had even in back then, going to a restaurant and eating. And I mean, even just like the interaction you have with a staff at places when you have gluten intolerance or another dietary need, it can be really not embarrassing, but like it's definitely like a process talking to the waiter. And if the waiter is going to be receptive or think you're annoying or think it's like a choice that you're asking these questions, it can just be like a hassle. So we try to be a place that and it comes naturally. We are a place that wants to know what your dietary needs are so we can point you in the right direction and you can eat something that um, you're going to walk away from having a great meal or a snack, and then also knowing you're not going to get sick later.
And so, Elissa, are there any other businesses that you had encountered that focus so much attention on dietary restrictions?
Yeah, actually, we did live on the West Coast for about 15 years, between the Los Angeles area and Vancouver, British Columbia. And out there, every menu is coded. When you flip through a menu, it says GF on there or vegan. And so that was totally part of our lives before. When we moved back to Indiana, we found that it was a little bit harder to eat at restaurants. And I would say, like, coming back to visit through the years, it's definitely a lot easier now than it used to be. Um, but but yeah, when we lived in those places, there were a few cafes that we frequented that were 100% gluten free, and some were really good and some were really terrible. So I think just the products available to make gluten free food are much more accessible now, and more closely more closely tasting to uh, wheat-based product. So like we actually have a ton of customers that come in and don't see the sign that says we're gluten free, or they just don't care. And yeah, I would say the majority of our customers don't really even need gluten free food, but it's so close now that I mean, it's identical in a lot of products.
And so what is one of your favorite dishes that you serve?
Well, that changes all the time. So with our baked goods, I really like our sugar cream pie, which is, Hoosier pie. And then our so I don't do well with the dairy, but that's my favorite food group. But I really like our quiche. It's the best quiche there is, really. And I don't know why. I don't know what we're doing differently, but quiche at our place is awesome. I also really like our Cuban sandwich. So you get the pulled meat, the deli meat, pickles, Dijon Swiss, and grill it. I like a grilled sandwich. So, and our bread we make all of our bread every day. So it's fresh. When you order your sandwich, we cut the bread that we made that morning, and grill it. So it's a real fresh, hearty sandwich, and like no preservatives or any of that garbage that makes your food taste not very good.
And so, Elissa, what's one thing that you wish you knew as a new business owner?
Um, well, I had the coincidental life situation of having a daughter 2 weeks before opening this business. So I would say if I could do it all again, I would have hired a CPA from day one to be doing our bookkeeping, because I just didn't realize, like, later down the road, how much organization would be important to all of the, it just comes up over and over, like, you're applying for the SBA grant and they need to see your profit and loss statements. It's like, okay, I can do that because I have a CPA. Whereas, like, if if that had come up a year ago, I'd be like, what's a P&L? I worked in television. I mean, So I would say get a good CPA, and they're worth it.
And so how could our viewers get in touch with you if they want to learn more or if they want to stop by for breakfast or lunch?
We have a website. It's 1823bakehouse.com. You can give us a call, and or yeah, stop by. We're in Franklin. Franklin's a small town. It consistently wins a ton of awards for being having a great main street, and we are right on the corner with the Johnson County Courthouse, down the street from the Art Craft Theater, which is a Art Deco theater that's been restored and shows old movies. So it's a really cool town, and definitely worth a weekend trip to see it and catch a movie, etc. But yeah, I would say I'm also the person who answers our Facebook and Instagram pages. So, you have a question, you want to ship something, even though I hate going to the post office, I'll do it. I promise I'll do it. But yeah, I would say find us on Facebook or Instagram to reach me. But we do have a website if you just want to order something.
Awesome. Well, Elissa, thank you for being our guest today. And to everyone watching and listening, thank you for catching this episode of the Open in Indiana podcast. Catch our next episode soon. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Open in Indiana podcast. If you enjoyed listening, subscribe to us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Music, iHeartRadio, or on our website, openindiana.com/OII podcast. Thanks for listening.